Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rewind and Replay. I'm Matan,
And I'm Josh.
and you'll notice there's only two of us here in this Zoom group. And that is because we, the members of Rewind and Replay, split up into pairs to have discussions about our personal top 10 games of the last generation of consoles. We just put out a video. If you're watching this, we just put out a video, our collective top 10 games of the last generation. But I didn't feel like some of my favorite games had got mentioned in that list, so I thought we all needed to have our own discussions. This is going to be a little bit more informal. We're going to be having conversation about each of these games, whether we've played each other's or not.
Loosey goosey.
So let's start. Oh, and I should mention, unlike our group list, all of these are ranked, not just the top three. All 10 are ranked. So Josh, let's start off with your number 10.
All right. So I want to be clear up front. A lot of the best games to me of this last generation were remasters or just like they were on that brink of like,
thank you, Josh.
They were.
I should repeat the rules. We said in order for the games to count for this list, they had to come out after the date of November 13th.
Right.
I'm sorry, November 15th, 2013, which was the release date of the PlayStation 4. And they could not be a remaster or a re-release.
Yeah. And for me, a lot of them were like those like brink games, those ones that were like PlayStation 3
on the cusp,
very launch PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. A lot of them were that for me. But barring those rules, here's my number 10 is Halo 5 Guardians. Yeah. Now, this is coming in at 10 only because of my love for Halo, kind of like my adoration of the series as a whole for such a long time. That it only breaks into top 10 because of that. I mean, I'm a sucker for like a good cutscene, which, you know, the Halo series has always had very nice, fun cutscenes, and this one isn't any different. But they introduced a whole lot of new like gameplay mechanics, and you don't even follow Chief for the whole game, but like it all makes sense, and it's all leading up to
Locke is the other guy.
Yeah. Who is what's his name? Mike Colton, Luke Cage. It's so cool. But anyway, it's a fine game. It's not the best of the series by far, but it leads up to Infinity so well, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
You made a good case for it. My number 10, mentioned on our group list, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I am a tremendous Smash fan. Melee is my favorite. I won't deny it. But Smash Bros. Ultimate is easily my second favorite because the games following Melee really veered away from competitive play. They really tried to introduce a lot of like randomness. They really and they basically lowered the skill ceiling and the skill floor. But Ultimate, I feel like, widened the gap. They kept the skill floor, the floor low and the ceiling high. It feels, as I mentioned in my blurb in our main video, it feels like easy to learn, hard to master. And just like, how fucking awesome is it to like play as Mario versus Sonic the Hedgehog versus, you know, Minecraft Steve.
My boy Mega Man is in it too, right?
Mega Man's in it.
Oh,
everybody! This is everyone. Everyone is here. That's the tagline. I just have so much fun with this game. I actually enjoyed the single player. It is flawed, but I enjoyed it. And the multiplayer, it's just so much fun to play with friends. There's nothing like it.
If it ever goes on sale, I definitely need to pick it up.
Absolutely. I'll play it with you.
I played Melee back on the GameCube, but you know, the last one I remember playing extensively was Smash 64.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mean, that
true classic.
Yeah, that ages me, but I remember just having my weird controller playing that game. Yeah, so I definitely need to play that again.
All right, you're number 9.
Number 9 for me, Horizon Zero Dawn. Man, I'm gonna keep this one brief because I think a lot of the things that made this one stick out to me are true for other games higher on my list. But I love the setting of this game. I really enjoyed like the old timey, like, you're old-timey, that's the wrong word, but like, you're using bows and arrows but like, and you're like these what feel like prehistoric people, but then like you're fighting like mechanical monsters and dinos. It's just a really cool game that like not only did really well, which like a lot of people will agree it was a very good game, but like it got DLC, it's getting a new game. I think it deserves a spot on a lot of people's top 10. I just remember I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm not like a super big single player person, which you'll see with the rest of my list. I just hit my mic. Like it was one of those games that like crept into my like, okay, I'm into it. Into it.
It's a pretty big gap for me in my PlayStation knowledge. It's one that I have missed, but I am getting back to. I really like what you said about the look and the feel of the game. It is simultaneously like immensely low tech and immensely high tech.
Yeah,
it's got a very distinct vibe to it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right, my number 9 is Firewatch, an indie game, very story based. Basically, the gist of it is, have you played this, Josh?
I watched people play this.
Okay, so for viewers and listeners, you play as a character who is in, I believe, Wyoming on a fire lookout for the summer. He basically lives in one of those really tall towers in the middle of nowhere and has almost no human interaction for months, except most of it is through the walkie-talkie to the person who sort of oversees him at a tower way in the distance. And so you're developing this relationship with this person over the walkie-talkie. Eventually you solve this kind of mystery. The art style is incredible. Before I played the game, I read that you should turn off your location on the map before you play. So on my mini map and on my large map, I could not see exactly where I was. So I had to learn, like, I take a left at this tree and then a right into the canyon, and that's how I get home. And it was like really rewarding.
Yeah.
To get to know this place. It was a fantastic story, very well written. I think it won some BAFTAs for acting and writing. It was a tremendous game that I really can't recommend enough.
I remember watching it and I was just kind of like, this is so like, it's not like an intense game by any means, but like it was.
Yes, I totally get what you mean.
Like it was really fun to watch. For me, number 8 is Sea of Thieves. So I'm gonna expand on what I was saying a little bit earlier. I'm not a huge single player game person because I just don't find a lot of joy just doing something on my own. I enjoy doing things with friends. I enjoy creating stories with friends, and that's why I think I like tabletop games a lot more than video games. Right. Whoops. But like, there's certain games out there that just like are made for RP, and Sea of Thieves is definitely one of them, where it's like you go out there and it's just like you and your buds, and all of a sudden you're talking like pirates.
Yeah.
Every other word is yar. And like it's definitely just, you go out there on the seas, you fight some other boats. Like a lot of people aren't doing that anymore. Like I think the community right now, the community consensus is like fighting each other is like kind of mean, but like you're just out there having fun, and I don't know, it's an enjoyable game.
Totally. I just got Xbox Game Pass and installed Sea of Thieves. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been watching it since its E3 announcement. I love the vibe of this game. I love the role-playing aspect. I love it really, like, you are inhabiting being a pirate. You have to sail there and look for the treasure and have your crew, and I love it.
Yeah, it's a really niche game, but I like it.
Sure. My next up, number 8, is Overwatch. Overwatch is one of the games I have put the most time into this generation. Overwatch, to me, I got it on release. It is usually very well balanced. There have been some issues, but usually it is a really large roster. I have not always been very good at aiming, and so it has characters who I can play and be important as without really needing to be incredibly accurate with my shots.
Mhm.
I love the balance of, assault characters versus support versus defense. Or versus tank. I mean, I'm a Reinhardt main, putting it out there. This game is balanced. It has strong visual style. Despite not having a single player mode, the
Yeah.
characters, I said this about Apex too, but this is more so for Overwatch. The characters are immensely fleshed out. There is so much lore and development that they implement through largely PvP modes, which is
Yeah.
very impressive to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of the PvE. I know they've been doing more of that, and I think there's going to be more in Overwatch too.
I think you're right.
I played a lot of Overwatch because I was coming from Team Fortress 2. I was a longtime TF2 player. I played it competitively, and I was like, hopefully Overwatch is the next big thing. And it just didn't have it for me.
It didn't have it for you?
It didn't have it for me. Like, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't what I was looking for, but it was still a lot of fun to play.
Sure. I understand that. People often say it's a ripoff of TF2. I don't think it is, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
But yeah, great game. Shooters, man. Here we go again. It's Destiny 2. I got into Destiny kind of late, but the reason I did was because longtime friends of mine just love that game. They adore it. And I'll be the first to say that I'm like, not like my favorite thing in the world, but man, have I had a lot of fun with friends in this game. I have had countless hours of just like, there's things you're supposed to do. It's an MMO. It's a first person shooter MMO. And you're just kind of like going back and forth. You're doing missions. You're doing your walking simulator. It's like World of Warcraft, in that way. But like, the way that you get to do it is all very new and fresh. And then like once you're there and once you've done it, I just remember there's this one time that a bunch of like my fire team and I, just people I know in real life, we do a mission, and then like out of nowhere, like a spawn comes and it's like, okay, let's kill this spawn, and then like we kill that, and then we're all out of ammo, and we finish the mission, and we're just like slashing our out of ammo swords at each other, and just like it was just silly, and it was just a lot of fun. So like I rank it at 7 because I can remember just such good times in the game itself.
Totally. I think this is true of Destiny 2 and of Sea of Thieves. It is a place to hang out with friends.
Yeah.
And that is when it's a good place, when it's fun to be there, that's super important.
Yeah.
On to my number 7, Red Dead Redemption 2. This is another one. I know it's on your list. It was on our big list as well. I didn't play Red Dead 1. And that's kind of crazy. I didn't play Red Dead 1. I heard really good things about Red Dead 2. I got it a little late. I saw it was on sale for like $30, and I was like, all right, I got to get this. I sunk like 150 hours in, 250-ish, 170.
I mean, yeah.
And I didn't do, there's so much even that I didn't do. This game, it really often, like, just going somewhere is so immersive. Riding my horse along the paths, guiding my horse, running. Sometimes I'd run into someone. Sometimes something would make my journey exciting.
Random events as well.
Sometimes it wasn't. Random events, exactly. But sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I would just go, and I'd be in the plains and the woods and the swamp, having a really good time. This game has really strong characters. This game is really well written, great stories. It is honestly an incredible game.
I think I want to bask in Red Dead for a little bit because it is on like the main list, and it's going to be on mine as well. I feel like with Red Dead, we can kind of like let the stats for this game speak for itself. I mean, it won a ton of awards. It got a ton of accolades. And I mean, it's one of the best selling video games ever made. And then not only is it one of the best selling video games, but it had one of the best media launches ever. I think it has like the second highest grossing media launch of all time.
Might probably only second to GTA 5, which was Rockstar's last game.
No, I think it outsold it on opening night.
On opening night, okay.
Yeah, like I think the only other piece of media that has outdone it was like a movie or something. I can't remember, but
like Avatar Endgame or something.
Yeah,
but yes, go on.
It's huge game. Yeah. But I'll bask in it a little bit more when we get to mine.
When we get to
which takes
right.
which takes me to number 6 on my list, which is Stardew Valley. Adriana spoke on this in our main one, and I think she really puts it nicely. So if you haven't seen our main top 10 list, you should go check that out. But to extrapolate on that a little bit, I wasn't sold on this game when it first came out. It wasn't until this summer that I played it again, and I just had a ton of fun role playing as the character I made. And again, it was because I was playing with other people. And so like we were each in our own little barn houses or whatever, and we each had our own little farm, and we all went to romance different people. It was just this like everyone came together to do like things on the farm together, but then we each had our own separate life, and it was just so like quaint, and it was a really fun game. So
that sounds great.
It really started to it topped into my top 10 of the last gen.
Okay, my next one is my number 6, Hollow Knight, another indie game that just I couldn't stop thinking about it. When I was not playing this game, I was thinking about playing this game. And that is rare. It had a gorgeous art style, a captivating, very captivating lore. The gameplay is, again, the real strength of like the combat felt so refined and polished, and it was challenging, sometimes intensely so, but never quite overwhelming. It made me understand why people like the Souls games. I have never been able to get into the Souls games, but Hollow Knight I got. I put a lot of time into it. There was a lot more to do. It's a very full open world. The platforming is precise. The combat has variance. The enemies are memorable. This game just consumed me for like a month.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is another one of those games on your list that I haven't played, but was so in the consciousness that I remember when I was still doing like art and animation stuff. I would refer to a lot of the Hollow Knight character design and just overall art design because it was so pretty. Like I didn't even need to play the game, and I was just like, these are wonderful. Like a lot of the everything that's in that game, the art and art style is just like, this is it.
Yes.
Yeah, it really did it for me. So even as someone who had never played that game, I was like constantly looking at that game. Okay. Which makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, totally.
Top 5. So number 5 for me, I believe it was on your list already, right? Apex Legends.
Yep.
We talked about this in the main top 10, and this is a 2 for 1 for me at least, because it's the aftermath of Titanfall 2, right? And it's the same world as Titanfall, and the guns are the same, but like they've been modified over the years, and it's just really cool that there's like this story for a battle royale game. They've been doing like all the like single player adventures and stuff in it, and it's just been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun playing this game with friends, where like even people who I would usually play with that don't like competitive shooters or anything like Apex, because it's just fun to move around and it's fun to shoot, and it's like if you die, you just jump into another game and you do it again. It's so intuitive. It's really fun. It
is my favorite battle royale game. Yes, it's just so much fun to be in. It's so much fun to play.
Yeah. I definitely, I haven't played it in a couple of weeks because school, but it's one of those things I'm like, man, I would like to go play around to that or something,
Sure. My next up, my number 5 is God of War from 2018.
Yeah.
This game blew me away. I knew about God of War series. I was not heavily invested. And from the first trailer I saw of this game, I was like, oh, they're switching it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is something for me. And what I love about this game is it doesn't, I was not a diehard fan, admittedly, but it seems like they didn't do away with what made those first games great. They really just expanded upon it. Kratos, the character, has really developed. His relationship with Atreus over the course of this game changes and grows, and it's super interesting. The boss battles and the enemy battles are huge and immense. You really feel scale. This isn't a battle, but when the snake world serpent comes down and is talking to you, you feel tiny.
Yeah. Which is hard to do when you're Kratos.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to understand. Like, even in the other games, I played some of the other ones. Like, you're climbing on these giant guys, but they don't even really feel like beings. They feel like platforms. And this serpent feels like a serpent. It feels like a giant ass snake.
Yeah, that's just like the capabilities of a new console, right?
That's true.
So, you're gonna see it if we get a new God of War game on the PlayStation 5. It's probably gonna be even more immense.
They've announced it, God of War Ragnarok.
Wow, well, there you go.
Very exciting. Just, yes, compelling, incredible story. Such well-written characters. The combat is satisfying and unique. Having the Leviathan Axe versus the Blades of Chaos, like, that game is, and doing it all in one shot as well, no cuts. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a fan favorite. I played the original games and I never got a chance to play the new one. But I've watched some of it, and it was a very beautiful game, and it just seemed like a lot of fun.
Totally.
It was single player, so I never really got to it, but it was definitely one of those consensus games where everyone's just like, that was great.
Right. Totally.
For me, number 4, here we go again, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 4 on my list. It deserves so much praise, I think. And truthfully, it's kind of me going, hey, GTA 5 also. That's just for me, like.
Can you believe that GTA 5 was a PS3 game? Just real quick, was that generation? Was Xbox 360?
So I'm gonna tell you a fun little story. I bought GTA 5 I think 4 times now. Because I bought it on the Xbox 360, and then I bought it on the PC, and then I bought it on PlayStation 4, and then I bought it on PC on a different platform.
You are paying Rockstar's bills.
Yeah. The thing is like, when it first launched, there was a lot of trouble with like switching your characters over to the new platforms, and so like I just bought it again.
Right.
And then once you had done it once you did successfully like transfer your character, I don't think you could do it again. They might have changed that now, but like, I've just bought GTA 5 so many times. But anyway, that was my like my thing of like going into Red Dead Redemption, of like, they did the same formula with Red Dead Redemption 2 as they did with GTA 5, of like creating this online mode, which for me is where I spent a lot of my time. The single player is beautiful. I spoke about this a lot in our main list, but the multiplayer is what did it for me. It was just so much fun to go out there and ride a horse with like a friend, like you're just out on the plains. Like, this is like the same thing as Sea of Thieves. You start talking like cowboys to each other. You're just having a good time. You're out there doing like posse missions. You're out there looking for like the bad guys or whatever. So it was such a fun experience. You could go hunt with each other. I just really adore the online multiplayer for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. All right. My next up is number 4, SpiderMan, Marvel Spider-Man for PS4.
For sure.
This game I was so looking forward to it, and it was so much better than I could have imagined. Oh, yeah. This game, it's been said 1,000 times. Moving in this world it has the best movement system of any game I've ever played. I feel comfortable saying that. Getting around is so much fun. Swinging and flipping and zipping and grabbing guys and throwing gadgets and dashing around and dodging. Absolutely incredible. I finished this game in like a week, and then I think I took maybe a day off, and then I just went right back in to platinum the game, beat it on, you know, hard, ultra hard, or whatever, new game plus immediately.
Yeah.
Because I just love having things to do in this game.
Yeah.
The story, not incredible, but like very solid. Like, you know, Peter's relationship to Otto Octavius is great, with May, learning about Miles Morales. Yes, some of the MJ and Miles bits drag, but not as much as I think a lot of people think. I think it's nice to switch up the pace. It puts into perspective how powerful Spider-Man is.
Oh yeah.
I think, you know, not that there aren't some improvements this game could have made, but just fighting, moving, story moments. This game was just an absolute pleasure all of the way through.
Oh yeah, I agree. You know, I adore Spider-Man, just like the comics, the movies. Even though they keep making movies, I still adore them. You know, like I think what they did with this game was wonderful. I agree that the movement just felt right, and I love that it wasn't moon swinging. Like you actually saw what you were attached to,
right?
And, like everything felt like everything was weighted. Everything had like you really felt like you were in the world. You felt like you were Spider-Man.
You could understand like momentum and gravity.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, I put a lot of time into this game also, and it's one of those single player games that kind of crept in. And I'm like, okay, I'm playing this game, but it's because again, like I knew as soon as it was announced I was going to buy this game and I was going to play it because I was like, Spider-Man, yeah, I'm going to be Spider-Man. So I was a sucker for it too.
Also,
definitely.
Quick shout out to having J. Jonah Jameson have a InfoWars style podcast. Absolutely brilliant choice.
Yeah, I would always pause so I could listen to everything that the voice actor was saying.
I cannot wait for Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah, I got to get a PlayStation 5 first.
Yeah.
All right, up next for me, we're going into our top 3 now. This is a wild card on my list. It's the Jackbox Party Pack. And so I'm talking numbers 3 plus because those are the ones that were released on this generation.
Which one is your favorite?
6. Okay. But I will say 7 just came out. Had a lot of fun with 7 also. But these games were fun even before the pandemic. But because of the pandemic, they have become a mainstay in my friend group. They have become like a therapy session for a lot of us. Like when we can't do like D&D or something, we can still hang out by playing these games.
Totally.
And that has become so important. And I have just there's countless hours of things I can remember from years past to now. Like, but very specifically number 6, Push the Button. It's this game where, you know, a couple of people are aliens. Everyone else are just like, it's kind of like the new shit, which is Among Us. Right. But like, it's been like in the consciousness, I think, for a little bit longer. And there's just so many hours. If I was like streaming or something or recording these games of my friends and I at each other's throats, because this is just so much fun.
Totally.
So I love this game, and I think everyone who hasn't played them should give them a shot.
Yes, they're affordable. They have hours and hours of replayability with friends. If I will say this, the government can have my text messages. The government can have my search history. But if the government gets its hands on my Quiplash answers,
oh no,
I am screwed.
There's definitely some things. I mean, you got to play to your audience on these games. So
absolutely,
but man, they are just so much fun. Anyway,
so much
top fun.
3. Now to my number 3, Uncharted 4. I have been a big Uncharted fan for a very long time. Previously, my favorite was number 2. And then Uncharted 4 came out, and to me, blew the rest out of the water. This game, at the time, was the best looking video game I'd ever seen. These treasure hunting romps became this like immensely emotional journey.
Mhm.
It is about like addiction and duty and family. This game like masterfully does what I think a lot of games strive to do, which is what a lot of other media does as well, is like make you feel how the character's feeling at that moment. When Nathan Drake gets, he lies to his wife Elena to go off and continue treasure hunting,
Sure.
get back into it. He
Yeah.
says it's to save his brother, but it's not. It's for him. And then when she finds you out and she shows up at your hotel room in Spain or wherever you are and is like, hey, I know what you're doing. Like, you feel like such an idiot. You feel like, how could I ever let this wonderful woman down? It is the end of Nathan Drake's story of the 4 games. Even if there are more, there was Lost Legacy and there may be more. But it's the end of Nathan Drake's story that I think was just such an incredible summation of it's perfect ending for the games.
Yeah. I only ever played the first Uncharted game, and the only reason I never made it to Uncharted 2, because I own it. I own a hard copy disc of Uncharted 2 as well as Uncharted 1.
Okay.
The only reason I never made it to it is because this is my problem with single player games, is that I become such a completionist that I never end up actually finishing the game. Because it just becomes me like searching every corner, and then like suddenly 30 hours have passed and I'm only like 2 hours into the story.
Right.
So that's what happened with the Uncharted games, and I'm just like, maybe I should go back one day and just play and not think about like 100%ing the game.
Do your best, right?
Yeah. But I've never been able to do it. But like, I know those games are a lot of fun, and I know especially for the 3 of you on R&R, they're like a big deal, as well as like The Last of Us. So
totally.
Yeah. Number 2 for me is SpiderMan. I mean, we've already talked about it so much, so there's not much more I have to say. I adore SpiderMan. I love what they did with this game. I'm really looking forward to Miles Morales, and the web swinging, man. I could just sit there swinging around for hours. So
yeah, it's New York feels lived in. This place it's an amazing city. It is a well done location. Even though the open world is not huge, it is dense. There's a lot there, and I'm a fan.
Yeah, I love it. There was always something to do, and I loved all the different costumes.
Oh, totally. Number 2 for me, The Last of Us 2. I know that's a hot take. Everybody who watches our stuff already knows my opinion on this game. I think that The Last of Us 2 is an achievement in like non-traditional storytelling. I think its subversion is exceptionally done. I think that the characters are incredible. I think it is diverse. I think that the world design is some of the best I've ever seen. The combat is satisfying. This game, the writing is out of this world. This game is brilliant. This game, to me, I was enraptured by this game for my duration of playing it, and I played it a lot. I was just absolutely taken by the emotions of this game, by the messaging of this game. It's not so simple as just like forgiveness good, revenge bad. It's about how your actions have consequences. When you kill enemies in this game, they react like the people who are still alive react like their friend was killed. These are people who've been together for years. They fought, nail and tooth for their lives together.
Yeah.
And when you kill them, you should feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when things feel like important.
This game just blew me out of the water. I absolutely loved it.
It's
and now to your games. Number 1.
I'm gonna talk on that real quick. Like, I haven't played any of the Last of Us games, and so I love the dynamic in our group of like, you guys are talking about The Last of Us. You guys have talked about like Breath of the Wild, and like, I've never played these, but you guys have talked about them so much. I feel like I have like an understanding of them, and it's just like The Last of Us definitely feels like one of those games where like, I was gonna get it once, but then it was like, oh, we're closing down the multiplayer servers. I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to play anymore.
Sure.
So it's one of those games that have definitely been on my mind, but it's like I never really got around to playing it. So I really understand the love for it, and I understand like that fans of this game are diehard fans, right? So it makes a lot of sense. Okay, my number one, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been playing Animal Crossing since the GameCube. I love this series. I mean, it's just such a getaway. It's always been so peaceful. It's just been something that's like been with me for so many years. And I just have so many memories of this game, of like good, bad, you know, like you play it in the best times, you play it in the worst of times, you play it with other people. I mean, even like I can very specifically remember, I mean, here comes a bummer alert, everyone. I remember an old friend of mine, we were probably like 7-8 years old, and he was going through some really heavy like family trouble, and I was over at his house one day, and we just like sat up playing like Animal Crossing until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and it's like all our worries just like disappeared, and I was just like with my friend, and we were just having a peaceful time. Like it's one of those games that's just always there for you.
Well said.
And so like I just love how peaceful it is. I love how much like you can just play around and just have a nice time. So that's why it's number one for me, because the series exists, and this new one just lets you do even more, especially with friends.
This was my number 11. I had to bump one, and that was the one that got the cut. I absolutely adore this game. I still play it. The vibes are absolutely immaculate. I love existing in this world. It's nice, especially it's a perfect quarantine game. It's so nice to have agency in a world, because we don't have agency in this one right now.
Nope.
It is so rewarding to develop your relationships with these characters, to make your home look the way you want it to. It's hard, but when you get there, it feels so rewarding. My gripes with this game are just, there are so many little things they could do to improve this game. There's so many quality of life things that just grind my gears.
Absolutely.
And I think this game could have been a 10, and it unfortunately was not.
Well, I mean, it definitely isn't for everyone. I know a lot of people don't like playing this game because it's like, what do I do? Well, you do whatever. Like there
you exist.
Like, you don't have like so much of a goal, but you create your own. So it's definitely a mainstay game for me. It's something I'm gonna keep playing for years to come, I'm sure.
Yep. Fantastic choice. Last game on our list, my number 1. Ooh. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
There it is.
It is our number 1 on our group list as well, for good reason. I fought for this game. This game is superb. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of the best video games ever made. No question.
Wow.
The exploring this world is better. It is the best open world I've ever experienced. Having, like, it really is the epitome of like, oh, see that? Then you can go there.
Yeah.
Being able to glide off of mountains, being able to climb on anything, that's huge. Climb on anything is so incredible. Just being able to get wherever you need to go. The enemies are challenging. The different weapon types are distinct and rewarding. Like, this game is wacky. There's so many weird shenanigans. It has a big speed running community.
Yeah, can I speak on that? I've never played the game. I've never played the game. I never really even watched it because I'm gonna be outright. Nintendo like story games have never really been my thing. Mario, Legend of Zelda games, just they've never really been my thing. But even growing up, I was like, I'm not having fun with this. I've watched a lot of like those goofy speedrun tactics, and I'm just blown away by them. Like the things where it's like you're pausing in midair, you're like shooting an arrow like 500 yards away. Like it's so like intricate and like so well timed. I'm like, this is really fun to watch. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're doing or what they're using, but man, I'm so into this.
Totally. I totally get you. And I love that, building on that, like to any puzzle, there's always multiple solutions. Like there's so many different ways you can use the mechanics in the game, freezing things and then hitting them, using your explosives, using your weapons, throwing your weapons. Like there was one, you can solve puzzles in so many ways. There was one time when you're supposed to like change the rotation of the room so that these metal boxes line up and complete a circuit. I couldn't figure it out. So what I did was I just dropped all my swords in a line and they connected the circuit and it worked.
Are you kidding? That's really cool.
It is like absolutely incredible. I just was constantly blown away by this game. Yes, the story is a little weak. Final boss fight's a little underwhelming. I really like the shrine systems. Instead of the big temples, the divine beasts were fine. I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. But having all these hundreds of little shrines, these little temples all around the world that you could explore and find, superb.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible game.
Yeah,
and my favorite of the last generation.
It seems really well. It seems like it deserves to be a top one for a lot of people. Again, I haven't put the time in. Maybe I will one day. I think I'll play the second one because I think there's like a co-op.
I'm really hoping there is. I'm really hoping there is.
Like at least there's like rumors about that. So like if that's true, like I'm gonna hop on.
I want to play as Zelda so bad.
Even if it's just different colored links,
I'll play that too. I'll play it too. I'm not going to be picky.
So I really understand this being a top one, and I just I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Well, and with that, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Caitlin and Adriana, right now as we are speaking, are shooting their top 10 video. So check that out, as well as our group top 10 of the last gen video. We're going to be doing more short form content like this in the future. We're developing more ideas. We've started doing podfics. We have our tabletop games in addition to our regular weekly podcasts. So check all of that out wherever you get podcasts or on YouTube. You can also support us on Patreon. Link is in the description. We appreciate any support you can give. And we will catch you next time.
See ya.